this was our dinner venue last night and our breakfast venue this morning. Over here is where the dishes get washed. If we don't pick up a bug here, we never will. My constitution is holding out for the time being, but I don't know for how long. So yeah, the boys are warming the bikes up for us already this morning. It's just incredible. So some of them are a bit of a challenge to start. So in order to avoid any drama when we're ready to go, they just warm all the bikes up. All right, well, we're riding out of Tanki this morning, on our way to Quang Son or something like that. Quang Son, 220 kilometers. Well, we're on our way again. We've just had the bikes refueled, traveling through this sort of the rice paddy countryside. Just see if I can get past this vehicle. This morning I decided, I went down the wrong road, to be honest, looking for the breakfast venue, and once I realized I was down the wrong road, I turned around, came back, and there was this little store, bakery, that was churning out freshly baked baguettes, and there was a line of locals, which was the hint to me, a line of local people queuing up to get banh mi made for them. And so I stood there and I waited, and they made one for me with a kind of almost like a grilled Kransky sausage, not as rich as that, but that type of sausage, smaller one. They cut it into little pieces, into little slices, and then they put some sauce on it. I don't know what it was, but it was amazing. Lots of coriander, cucumber, and some other kind of bean sprouts, but not bean sprouts, sprouty looking things, and ended up paying 10,000 dong for this. Now 10,000 dong translates to about 65 Aussie cents, and it was amazing. So I had that. Then I found the breakfast place eventually, but I'd already eaten this, so I didn't need to eat the noodles that everyone else was tucking into. Everyone was jealous of what I'd had, so I think I had a win there for my 65 cents. Outside our room last night, we were in this room on this big traffic circle, which is like the center of the town, and it's going to pass this vehicle, and anyhow, and in the morning Lyndon and I thought it was like a Muslim call to prayer, but it's not a Muslim country. It's by and large Buddhist. So I haven't encountered any Muslim communities. So, but there was this almost like a speaker going, and anyway, it turns out that it's the government delivering news to the people in the city on the speaker. So I'm sure it's a very filtered, managed form of news that no one really pays attention to. But it's there if you wanted to listen to it, I suppose. Well, we just stopped at some rice paddies where TT explained a lot of what happens with rice, and then we got back on the road, and Itchy and Scratchy were out of position. They were way back. Well, they came flying past me to get to their position at the front of the pack. Well, very interesting. Something I didn't fully appreciate about rice is that in this area they actually have 3 growing seasons. Oh my God, this guy, Ivan Milat, he gets so pissed off with the traffic here. He gives them the bird, he yells at people because they're hooting. He goes ballistic, and you wonder why on earth he's come to Vietnam. He is so unhappy with the traffic and the noise and the chaos. He's just miserable about it. And you say to yourself, what the hell did you come to Vietnam for? If that's what you expect is Australian traffic conditions, stay in Australia, for Christ's sake. Anyway, back onto rice. So they have these 3 growing seasons. The crop takes 3 months to grow from being seeded to harvested in this area, and then there's a month of preparing the fields, the paddies and all of that for the next crop. There's 2 methods in which they plant out the crops. The one is literally in these massive paddies. They do it by hand. They plant each rice stalk by hand into the paddy. Apparently that produces a much higher yield, up to a kilo of rice per square meter, which is remarkable. I would never have thought they get a yield like that. Anyway, that's what it is. So each square meter of rice paddy over a year produces 3 kilos of rice in this area. Now there's some areas higher up in the highlands where they only manage 2 growing seasons a year. So it's not always that high a yield. But apparently the Mekong Valley is where most of the rice is produced. So the other way of them planting the rice is not planting. They just sow the seed widely into the paddy and eventually it grows out. So, but apparently the yields in that, because I think what you find is each rice stalk is competing with another one for nutrients in the soil and light and all that the yields are lower when they are sown in that way. Then I didn't quite hear how it's harvested. I know some of it is harvested by hand, but I'm sure there's mechanized harvesting that goes on where there's these vast rice paddies. According to TT, Vietnam and Thailand kind of compete for second and third position in terms of rice producing regions of the world, with India being the highest rice producing or the region in the world. And so these areas, Thailand and Vietnam, outstrip China in terms of rice production. And I think that's got a lot to do with climate here being very much in the tropics. So they have these multiple growing seasons where they get much higher yields per hectare than probably other growing regions. So that's a rice story, very interesting. Who would have thought that, you come out here, you just think, oh, well, rice grows in paddies. What they then do, of course, is they harvest the rice, and it's threshed and dried and you name it. And the stalks and leaves that remain behind, they are dried out as fodder for the cattle and the buffalo. And apparently the cattle and the buffalo don't get into the rice paddies to graze on the rice. They prefer the drier fodder that's produced once those stalks and leaves have been dried out. So I don't know. That's what I hear, so I've got to believe it. Well, we headed up this windy mountain road, and I think it's going to be quite a slow and long process this afternoon. We've had lunch, good lunch again, prepared by the boys. There's bits of gravel in these corners too, so you really got to be on your game. Anyway, good lunch and nice weather for riding. It's not too hot, it's warm, that's for sure. Well, we're back in these sandstone mountains that we encountered day before yesterday, and this is definitely rice country. So, but there's these beautiful mountains rising straight up on the right of us here. Let's see if I can get through to a clearing where you get a view of that. Oh, that was a big bump. Excuse me. So, yeah, here we go. This sandstone rock face just going straight up out of the ground. Phenomenal. So this area is really bamboo country here, and the locals go into the jungle, so you can see it on the side of the road, and they cut it down, bring it down to the village where some of them are cut into lengths, um, and some are left uh, in their complete lengths. So here's some short ones here on the right, and so they cut into lengths to make either chopsticks or incense as the base for an incense stick that then gets coated with whatever aromatics it gets coated with. So that's what this region is all about. You can see some more on the right here. And these are the people that live in this area are called Black Thai, and that doesn't mean they Thai people. It's just the name of the local tribe that lives in this area. And north to where we're going to be staying tomorrow night is White Thai people, and they speak their own dialect, which is not understood by anyone else, but they're also schooled in Vietnamese, so they're bilingual. They can speak and understand both languages, but like TT and the crew here, they can't understand what they are talking about. These Black Thai people, and the only reason they're called Black Thai has got nothing to do with anything but their traditional dress and cloth that they wear, which is in the main black. So that's why they call that. So there's a bit of information for your next trivia quiz. You better hope this question comes up. Well, we're approaching the end of our ride for the day. I think we've got about 7 or 8 kilometers to go, something like that, not too far. And yeah, so these are just, I'm guessing, like a bordering town on this town that we're going to be staying in, Quan Son or something like that. I don't know how you say it. Still haven't gotten it. And or maybe this is it. Could be. When you come into these towns, it's difficult to actually pick the town name out of all the scribblings on signs and you name it. It's it's really difficult to pick the names. Okay, so that's our Hotel. Okay. We are in for a treat tonight, I reckon, again. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. This is going to be an interesting night stay. Here we go. I'm going to save them the trouble of turning my bike around. Because I'm a good sort. That's why I turn my bike around for them. It's alright, Lyndon. Just because I make you feel shit doesn't mean you have to do the same. I guilted Lyndon. So I'm going to do this again. So we've just left Quan Son, where we stayed in an interesting hotel last night. My God, was that bed hard. It was literally just like sleeping on the floor with just a duvet over the floor. It was that hard. My hip gave me jip the whole night on both sides. It just couldn't get comfortable. But anyway, I managed to get some sleep until it just became too painful on one side and you have to then flip over. The bathroom was much better than the night before, so suddenly you're grateful for an iffy bathroom when you've been served up something as bad as we were the night before. Anyway, Quan Son, we just left and we're riding into these mountains. We got 120 kilometers to do today, that's it. And we are staying in this little village tonight, a homestay, our one and only homestay for the trip, and we're going to be split. The group is going to be split across two houses where we all share one room in each house. So it's going to be an interesting night from that point of view. We had a very nice breakfast this morning, which was these rice cakes or rice, let's call it rice pancake kind of thing, with egg and sprinkled with some condiments of some sort, like dried onion by the look of it, one, and those were served with like pork, little pork balls that had been deep fried, were really nice, and you have that with fish sauce and soy sauce. So very nice breakfast. And then we went down the road because you don't get breakfast and coffee at the same place. So we went down the road to the coffee shop where we had a half decent cup of coffee by Vietnamese standards. And so that was all very nice. And I think I might have mentioned, but I'm going to mention it again. If I did mention already, I'll edit this out. Last night, Alan, Robin, and I we split from the group and went down the road a ways to this local eatery. They were barbecuing duck out on the sidewalk, and it smelled so good. So we said, we agreed, let's go eat in there. we were shown next door to like the restaurant, but oh boy, you'll see pictures of that. Interesting. And yeah, we wanted to, so it was this rotisserie duck, which was really good. They just chop it up with an axe or something, and you just get chunks of it, served on a big polystyrene platter kind of thing. And then served with that was like this shredded veggie, green mango mix, salady thing, which was nice as well, and some sort of sauce that went over that. So the food was all right. We later met up with the main group, and we determined that they had probably had a better meal than we had, but you know, we had the experience of this place, and so that was worth it in itself, because that's what we're here for. That's incredible. So we got these water wheels, and they lift the water out of the river on these like bamboo kind of angled bamboo things, and they drop the water into a top at the top, and I'll show you on another one. It's just ingenious, and they just lash together with bamboo leaves and reeds and that kind of stuff. And Ivan Milat, of course, he says, because they were talking about, there's some water spillage and all of that, and he says, well, you know, like everything in this country, nothing works as well as it should. I think, Jesus, mate, I want to give you a couple of sticks and some reeds and see if you can build anything close to this. What an arse of a human being. Anyway, let's have a look here. This is just beautiful countryside we're riding through, with all these terraced rice paddies, some on the left through there, bougainvillea here in full bloom. These little villages are really quaint that we ride through. It's just fantastic. What an experience this is for us. We go and see these, you know, these sites like the water wheel and the suspension bridge. There's nothing to them really, but you know, they're a big deal to people in this area, and it's also time for us to get off the bikes and just stretch our legs for a little bit, and relax up. But it's nice to get back on the bike in this kind of oppressive heat, because you at least get a bit of airflow and cool down. I soaked my scarf that I use to keep the sun off my neck. I soaked it in the ice bucket, and then poured my ice cold water over me as well, which was very bracing, but well worth it. Wow. And then as long as, but almost by the time we started moving again, it had all but evaporated. My scarf is a little bit damp, so it's got a bit of a cooling effect, but not much. Anyway, it was good while it lasted. Alright, well, we're in the home stretch now, the last 10 k's to our homestay tonight. Well, we're going to have lunch there, so we haven't had that big a day, to be honest. But it's been a great day. Oh, I tell you, this place is fantastic. This is the room, the homestay room we're staying in. And it's just a big room and we're all sharing the same space. And one might argue that it gets a bit uncomfortable for us Westerners. But it's all quite discreet and above board. And look at this, all these rice paddies right here. People are fantastic too, I must say. And it's been my experience, as you know, wherever I've traveled in the world, we have so many preconceptions and prejudices about people in different cultures and all that kind of thing. But I've got to be honest, my experience is most people are just warm and welcoming and generous, and the Vietnamese are no different. And you know, that was my experience in Kazakhstan and Mongolia, Thailand, all of these places. It's just an amazing experience to, you know, to see these people in their own universes, just getting on with their lives, and it's just fantastic. The only place that I would argue is a shitty, miserable place in my experience is Russia. Russia was not a happy place to be. Now we just had in this water here, I don't know if you can see them, but there's some big carp swimming around. We just had some fish for lunch, and I'm sure they come right out of this pond. I'm convinced of it. Some sort of deep fried crumb fish. It was absolutely delicious. You wouldn't pay me on any other day to eat carp, but I've got to say this was just done perfectly. You know, and it all goes together with some sort of dipping sauce or whatever. So these are our homestay accommodations today. That's my sleeping mat. Good luck, Gavin, sleeping tonight.
You and me over here, is it?
And so we do have privacy screens for when Lyndon gets naked, and it's very nice.